what are you most curious about and passionate about in the aspect of AI?
Yeah, as I said already, computer vision is a really interesting topic. I kind of slided into it. I didn't really kind of decided to get more into it. I kind of when I learned more about AI, I don't know why exactly. I just went into this direction, and I think it's also really interesting because it has the capability to make more interesting collaboration between humans and machines possible. So if you have any kind of robot, the robot needs to see something or recognize you or the environment. And it's really magical, I would say, if you can interact with the machines in new kinds of ways. I also were someday in a I was in university, and then a student came to me and with some candy and said, "Hey, do you want to come with me?" Was kind of the kidnapping scenario. With she was going around the hall with candy and cake. No, with candy, and said, "Hey, do you want to come with me and I show you my research and we do a little experiment. I also have cake upstairs." Really funny if you think about it this way, but it was true. And then I said, "Yeah, why not?" And we went into a lab. There was a primitive robot, and then cake also. And I don't know if you're familiar with the kind of the what do you say, motion tracking suits. Do you know them?
A little bit. I think the ones you wear and they got all the balls and stuff on them.
Yeah, exactly. And it wasn't a suit, but she had a lot of balls and put them all over me. And then there were a lot of cameras in the room. Mm-hmm. And then there was a little robot that was driving, and I just had to test how to interact with the robot if we would collide or anything. And that's and she just recorded a lot of data, how the human behaved and how the robot behaved. Which is really interesting if you do it, if you interact with a robot. There was also, I don't know, maybe you know Boston Dynamics, the robots.
I'm not sure.
You have to look at them. It's really fascinating.
What is it?
Boston Dynamics. And especially one of the most, I would say the two most famous robots from them are Spot and Atlas. So SPOT, Spot, and Atlas, ATLAS. There was a recent video on YouTube with Atlas, which is really impressive. It's a humanoid robot, so it has 2 legs, 2 arms, and It was doing I think it was a backflip with a twist.
Oh, dang.
And it just looks so easy. It's really, really fascinating. And the Spot is kind of like a robot dog. It looks like. And at one time I was in the university, and there were a lot of companies presenting their stuff so they can recruit people. And there was also one company that had some of the Boston Dynamic robot dogs walking around. It's really interesting to see it live, because I only knew it from the videos. Yes, but nowadays they're really expensive. I think about $100,000 or something. So yeah, that's what I'm mostly, I would say, curious about, the interaction about humans, and also generally building intelligent systems. It's so fascinating what you could possibly think about, what you could do. And also one interesting thing, one interesting perspective is I would say is the one of Andrej Karpathy. He was a PhD student at Stanford, and then went on to go to OpenAI and then to Tesla, where he was the director of AI. And I saw him in an interview where he told that he think AI is interesting because if you solve AI, or especially AGI, so artificial general intelligence, then you basically have all the other problems solved simultaneously. Because if you can build a system that's applicable to everything and is more intelligent than humans, then you can just give it any question and say, okay, we have an energy crisis, do something about it. Okay, we have a climate crisis, do something about it. So it's really a tool that you can apply to kind of everything you can think about. I really couldn't think about anything that you can't possibly try to to apply AI to it. Mostly creative things, and I would say are difficult. And then there's also a lot of really, really important things that you have to consider. For example, there were some kind of picture generating models that were pretty famous in the last few months. But then you have to think about, okay, is it really creative when it produces images, when it is trained on thousands and millions of other images and just kind of smooshes them together? Is that real creativity, or is it just copying? But you can also think about, well, doesn't a human do the same thing?
Yeah.
So you get into really interesting ideas of what really is creativity, because
there's a lot of philosophical discussions.
Yeah, which is also really interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, think about a human that is just living in a let's take the extreme example, living in a room that's empty and just gets food all day, every day, and have no information about the outside world. Would you think this human would be as creative as any other human, or would it also only think about food? So one time a day I get the food, nice. So what would this life be, and would there be the same kind of creativity than any other human? Because if you're thinking about AI, you really have to think about, okay, it's a system that only knows about what it has saw in the training data. So, for example, maybe you've heard about ChatGPT. It only knows what was in the training data. So I showed it to some friends, and they were asked some questions. What do you know about me? What is the name of my mother? Something stuff like this. And I'm pretty sure that the name of your mother wasn't in the training data. So there's no way the AI is even aware of you or of your mother. So you really have to think about, okay, what does this system know? And that's quite different from any human that you interact with, because you can assume that he has some basic knowledge, and also a lot of more sensors or senses than an AI system, because an AI system mostly has just a specific type of input and output.